Meghan Trainor deserves to escape the Kia asylum. Comparing his lyricism to the lyrics of other Gen Z male artists is like comparing a hydrogen bomb to a coughing baby. We want to chase them down with like pitchforks and torches or whatever. No, girl, why would you say that? I don't understand what this show has on Taylor Swift. Hello, my name is Freyr, I'm your favorite local voice gremlin and a Polish sociology student. And welcome to my little corner of the internet where I discuss all forms of popular media that interest me, whether that's books, TV shows, films, or music. And today we're gonna be diving again into your pop culture hot takes. This time you guys actually submitted more than last time, so it was even more difficult for me to choose. I got like 60 something submissions through different platforms because some of you submitted through the Google Forms, some of you submitted through just the comments, and some of you through my Instagram. And just like the last time I did this, if you haven't seen that video, you can still go watch it. It's up on my channel. We are going to be dividing this video into two sections, and those are going to be music and TV shows and films. So yeah, thank you so much for all of your submissions. And if your submission didn't make it, I promise you that there will be more opportunities for you to voice your opinions in the future. So don't be sad. It'll be okay, I don't know. But before I dive into your pop culture hot takes, I would quickly like to remind you that you can always subscribe to my channel. Most of you watching are not subscribed. You can always like the video, share it around with your friends, hype it, and you can also follow me on all of my other social media, which are going to be listed in the description box below. And with that, we can start. Our first hot take is, well, that is a hot take. This person says, as an Arab, it was completely fine of Sabrina to react like that at Coachella. It doesn't matter if it's a cultural thing, people are allowed to dislike something. If it makes her uncomfortable, then she can speak about it. She can call it weird if she wants to. It's her performance, her fans. People like to kick up a big fuss over nothing. She's not ignorant. She isn't obligated to know what Azagruta is. You only attack her because she is white. She isn't meant to know everything in this world. If you really are that triggered about it, just ignore her and her career. I'm not even a fan of her and find the backlash ridiculous. So I agree with this statement, partially. Ultimately, I do think that it wasn't that big of a deal and many people made it out to be something much more controversial than it actually was, and Sabrina wasn't being like racist or xenophobic or anything like that. She even later explained the fact that she didn't know what Azagruta was and was just kind of thrown off by it, which I think is okay. It's okay to not know something and then learn about it later. Also, sorry for my pronunciation of that word. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. So I've heard about the Azagruta before, but not everyone has, you know? Sabrina not knowing something that doesn't belong to her culture doesn't make her ignorant, in my opinion. And I understand why she was probably a little surprised by that. Now, personally, what I am going to ding you on this take is the parts where you said she can call it weird if she wants to, and you only attack her because she is white. I disagree on that front. I think cultural sensitivity is important, and I think it is important to call out people who are being insensitive. And that is regardless of where they are from or whether they are white or not. I remember a similar thing happening a few years ago when a recording from the New Zealand Parliament went kind of viral because basically some Maori politicians were doing the haka as like a form of a protest against, I think it was like a bill or something. There were people calling it many things, and I specifically remember Matt Walsh going as far as saying that some cultures aren't worth protecting and preserving. In the 2020s, it's even more important for us to celebrate cultural differences, especially since so many people are very quick to descend on them and treat them as lesser than. And I think that applies to situations like this as well. I think the way Sabrina handled this, especially post the incident, was kind of perfect. You know, she learned what it was and she acknowledged her lack of knowledge in the matter. She shouldn't call it weird though, and if she would, I don't think I would be able to defend that. And I also don't think that this has anything to do with her race. Like that factor is completely irrelevant in my opinion in this conversation. Okay, the next hot take. Okay, Meghan Trainor deserves to escape the Kia asylum. Are we sure? I kind of think she's fine over there. She's got a cute room, it's pink and all. Really?
I mean, let me ask the audience.
No shade to Meghan Trainor, but she's been making the same song over and over again since 2014. And maybe some of that music would have worked in 2014, but we are in 2026. Like, the world has moved on. several times already. Like that Mother song that she made, like I think it was 2 years ago or 3 maybe even at this point. That was atrocious. I'm sorry, that was so horrible. And especially if you get a Kardashian to participate in anything, I'm already going to be like, how about we maybe don't do that? Because it just feels like you're being a sellout. And her recent attempts at music don't sound that interesting either. There's just not much effort or creativity that goes into it. It doesn't feel like she's grown as an artist past 2014. She's back to square one, and now I think she's trying to like pander to the gays and be like mother, which you cannot force that. I feel like some artists have tried that in the past, like Katy Perry I think is a great example of trying to pander to the gay people, or specifically to the gay people living in West Hollywood. Let's be honest, that's just not gonna work. Like these songs feel like they are made to be lip syncs on RuPaul's Drag Race, and that is kind of the extent of their life. And it's sad. It's really poor marketing in my opinion. One thing I will say about Megan though is I really think she has a phenomenal voice. I really love her voice. I would love to see her dive into something more serious. I'm thinking more of like an album of like piano ballads, or like just more a ballady vibe where she could actually flex the fact that she can sing and she can do it well. Imagine like an Adele vibe for her. I would honestly live. I think she would honestly pull that off very well, and it would be more interesting than her cringy TikTok songs that she's now trying to promote. Because clearly that promotion isn't working. She had to cancel the tour. She's trying to cosplay Sabrina Carpenter, trying to pander to the gays. It's just not working anymore. Like she's become more of an influencer than an artist at this point, and it's kind of sad to see because she had the world in a chokehold in 2014 and 2015. Okay, moving on to the next take. Longer albums are better than the shorter ones. I mean, yeah, exactly. I love to be taken on a journey by an album, and shorter albums can't really do that to the same extent because, well, they are shorter. I like to sit in the world of the album more. I like to see more ways that it can develop its main themes, its main sounds. And that is just more possible when you have more songs on the album. Obviously, there are a few exceptions to this. Like I think, for example, Wishbone by Conan Gray, which is only 12 songs, is such a perfect package. And genuinely, I wouldn't change a thing about the original track run. Although now that we've gotten the deluxe, I really, really like that deluxe. And I think it fits into the world so well. And I actually prefer it. It's an emotional roller coaster that consists of only 12 tracks, which is pretty short compared to some other albums. But then again, albums like Tortured Poets Department, The Great Impersonator, Stick Season, Red, Taylor's Version, even This Music May Contain Hope by Ray, every song on there is necessary. They are long as hell, but they do work. And there's more room for developing sounds, trying different things. You get more songs in general, which I'm always a fan of. I think it's a win-win situation, especially for the fans, because we just get more music. And typically that music is also really, really good. Well, unless the album is like dreadful and bad, and it also has the audacity to be like 20 songs long, then maybe we could like, maybe we could cut that or just not release that at all. But that also, in my opinion, rarely happens, because if an artist is committing to a longer project, I think they should have more confidence in that project. So I don't think we're getting longer albums that are actually like horrible. The next take of Olivia's 3 lead singles, Drop Dead is the weakest. I don't think it's a bad, but it doesn't stand out at all for me. I'm sure the album will be great though. I will agree with this. I think Drop Dead doesn't have the lasting effect of something like Driver's License or Vampire. Like both of these songs were absolute gags, and Drop Dead is cute, but let's be honest, following up songs like Driver's License and Vampire is kind of impossible. I think she did her best, and I think it's still fine, but it's just not anywhere near the level of perfection that those songs were. I also think that Drop Dead is going to hit more when we actually get to hear the rest of the album, because I'm assuming that she's going to take us on a bigger journey, and we're going to start, you know, when we're in love, and then by the end we're going to be like heartbroken or something. I think then maybe in that context, Drop Dead is going to work more for me. But I agree, out of the 3 lead singles, it's definitely her weakest. Even though Olivia at her weakest is some people, some artists at their best. So there's that. This person says, I don't understand why Somber is getting glazed by everyone. I don't either. I don't get it, like, at all. And listen, no hate to this guy, but he must be talented to have made it so big so quickly. But it's just, it feels like he has the right components, like the right ingredients, but what he's cooking with them is just nothing that would ever appeal to me. He's very young. He's like 20 years old. So I think a lot of that comes from the inexperience and him just being a very young musician. But still, he's just too rough around the edges for me to really enjoy. And rough around the edges can be a compliment. Like there are artists who pull that off and it feels like an authentic part of their package. With him, it just feels like he's being just, you know, an amateur, or well, maybe not amateur, but he's just like kind of inexperienced and you can tell. And I think that is an actual hindrance on his like profile as an artist. I think all these endorsements are meant to be like words of encouragement for him. I think these artists, like for example Taylor Swift, want to support this very popular, young, up-and-coming artist, but I also don't get why they glaze him so much. Like Taylor has spoken about this guy several times in many different interviews. She even had like an entire section dedicated to specifically his songwriting during her interview with the New York Times. Why? Like, I'm sorry, this is not the songwriting that I think is going to be the next big thing. I really don't. Comparing his lyricism to the lyrics of other Gen Z male artists is like comparing a hydrogen bomb to a coughing baby. Noah Kahan, Role Model, Conan Gray, and Somber's the one? I just don't see the vision. Also, I'm sorry, that Coachella performance. Ooh, that was rough. I saw that video repeatedly. So many people were reposting that, and ooh. Like, I mean, I get it. Some artists have bad days and have bad performances. That just happens. But that was especially difficult to listen to. The next take is as follows. Halsey is actually very talented and deserves more respect than she actually gets. The amount of weight in her lyrics, especially on her newest album, is just beautiful. Yes. Now, I will say, I don't know Halsey's entire discography, but really, I don't think I need to, because I can make that claim, that same claim that you just made, just knowing The Great Impersonator. That album is one of my favorite albums of all time. That shit is impeccable. And the fact that its entire reception was basically boiled down to the whole main character syndrome conversation, and also people being surprised that she didn't lean more into the more so artist impressions that she was doing in order to like drum up promotion for this album. That makes me so sad.
Are you trying to get a rise out of me? Are you happy now?
The lyrical content on this album is some of the saddest, most like heart-shattering shit you will ever hear in your life. And the way that it's delivered by Halsey is just peak. Like, I'm sorry, their vocal performances on songs like Lonely is the Muse, Panic Attack, even something like Arsonist is just so, like, we don't get this much versatility when it comes to vocals these days. We just don't. Nowadays, we really don't have many singers or artists just in general who are capable of doing so many incredible things with their voice, with their songwriting style, but also who are able to successfully tap into so many different genres of music. Halsey is truly one of the best. And yeah, I really hope that one day the world is going to wake up to that fact. And also, I love that you brought up Halsey now, because I'm very, very excited for The Great Impersonator Deluxe that is coming out. Well, at the time of you watching it, this video, it would have already been out. And listen, I might make a video about it, because I really love that album and I really want to hear that deluxe with you guys. So stay tuned for that. Now, this person submitted 4 hot takes, so we're gonna go through them one by one. The first one is, if you're able to connect to your audience emotionally with your lyrics, you're a good lyricist. All the rest, metaphor usage, embellishments, rhymes, etc., are subjective. Just because you dislike it doesn't mean it's bad. So yes, but also no. Connecting to your audience is very important. I would say crucial even, but the way you connect with them also matters. Like, you can connect with your listeners by writing the words, I love you in a song, for example. But then you can also do the same thing with lines like, no more keeping score, now I just keep you warm, and my waves meet your shore ever and ever more. And one is just objectively better, in my opinion. Well, objectively better, in my opinion. Okay, maybe you do have a point there. But disliking it doesn't mean that it's bad. I definitely agree with that. Like, everybody has their own tastes when it comes to songwriting, when it comes to music, and I think it's fine. The second take here is, artists should straight up call out their fandom when they get to parasocial and start attacking others. I still find it very weird that Olivia didn't say anything to her fans when they were sending Joshua, his family, and Sabrina death threats, which led to Joshua having a heart attack. I think, yeah, Yeah, people should do it more because sometimes the fans go a bit too far and forget that these are all people at the end of the day. I think they tend to do that. I think artists tend to do that, but they are too indirect with it. And sometimes it does need to be more of a wake-up slap for some of these folks. The Olivia situation is definitely a good example of this. I do think that she could have handled this differently and definitely handled it better. But at the same time, even if she did speak up, I doubt that would actually change much. I don't think that would put a definitive end to the hate that was received by Sabrina, Joshua, and his family. Some people are just unfortunately psychotic, and they will be sending those death threats regardless of what the artists that they stand tell them. We've seen this time and time again where some fans will just not listen to what the artist tells them. I think a good example of that is the whole Gaylor fucking fandom of Swifties. That subsection of the fandom is actively going against things that Taylor has said herself numerous times, and they still believe that she is secretly gay and are also always ready to harass her partners. And now, Travis Kelce is at the forefront of that. I unfortunately still think that the hate that they would receive is going to be prominent, regardless of whether the artist actually speaks up or not. We live in an age where that kind of got normalized, unfortunately, but I definitely understand the sentiment here, and I definitely agree that maybe sometimes artists should just do a little bit more with their platform. The third hot take here is surprisingly hot take, but you can criticize an artist and still be a fan. Well, yeah, no artist is perfect. They all mess up in some way because they are people at the end of the day, and calling them out doesn't mean that you are actively, hating on them and switching up on them. Criticism, especially in this current internet culture that we live in, is unfortunately oftentimes seen as just a personal attack at a person, and I'm kind of tired of seeing that. Yeah, we can criticize so many people for many wrong things that they've done, but that doesn't mean that we outright hate them and want them fucking dead. We want to chase them down with pitchforks and torches or whatever. No, that person messed up here. We can talk about it, but we're not gonna be also sending death threats to them. I think the line is actually not that blurry here. It's it's a very concrete line, yet people still don't see it. They just refuse to see it. And the third hot take, not a hot take, but your videos are really fun. Thank you so much. This next person says, trans artists are secretly leading and evolving the music industry right now. Ethel Cain, Jane Remover, Eli, and many more. Yeah, absolutely. They are making music that is influencing a lot of mainstream artists, which we sometimes don't even realize. I think the most recent, very, very mainstream example of this was the whole Brat album by Charlie XCX, and it being heavily influenced by the work of Sophie. Sophie, of course, was a trans woman, and a lot of people learned about her work and her legacy and her impact on the industry when Brat came out. I honestly thought that it was very, very cool to see, and especially as an acknowledgement and an honoring of an artist that we definitely lost way too soon. It was beautiful to see so many people now learn about Sophie's work and get to actually experience it for the first time. But yeah, many people clearly don't realize how much of our current music landscape is inspired by trans artists. I think we need to do a better job in highlighting the voices of queer artists in music altogether, but specifically for trans artists. They tend to have these almost cult followings almost, but rarely ever make it to the actual mainstream. They're definitely leading an underground revolution, but I would like to see a general public that notices them and maybe, uplifts them a little bit more. Ethel Cain is definitely an example of that, but I would even say going as far as people like Kim Petras. She had her own big pop girl moments, but now she's in a more niche, less popular place when it comes to the general public. I would live for a massive exposure era for any of them, or for honestly any trans artist, really. I think it would be so cool to see a trans artist being the breakout star of the year, getting Grammy nominations, being the best new artist, having chart-topping hits. I think we are so overdue for that. Now, this next person submitted 2 takes, and one of them is music related and the other one is related to TV shows and films. So this is where we're going to be ending the music section and using this person's two hot takes, we're gonna transition to the next section of the video. The music hot take here is most of the Western, primarily American music that is charting now has a severe lack of grandness. Artists might embrace a grand, showy aesthetic, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, but the music falls so flat that there is a disconnect. I think this is also one of the reasons why people prefer K-pop, since the music and visuals have that same high level of intensity. I will agree in parts on this. I do think the grander, the more people are likely to get behind it. The examples of Sabrina and Taylor specifically, I don't know if they are like the prime offenders of this, I would say. Like, I think their more recent albums and just in general, their more recent work shows that they are still capable of doing very, very grand things, especially Sabrina. I mean, she is a maximalist when it comes to her performances. That Coachella performance, just in general, was so peak, but her music can be grand and so can be Taylor's. For Sabrina, I'm thinking about like songs like Juno, House Tour, even Tears. And for Taylor, I would say songs like But Daddy I Love Him, or even like something like The Fate of Ophelia. But overall, yeah, the music that is charting is definitely lacking in like adventurousness. For the most part, it's safe pop. We've had blips of artists like Bud Bunny charting very high, but they don't really last long on these charts and are oftentimes, you know, outlasted by songs like Ordinary by Alex Warren, which is just the fucking definition of mediocre, bland Walmart music.
I am sick. I am sick of your shit. And when I'm not sick, I'm tired. I am sick and tired.
But you also don't see people like Ray or Rosalia having high charting songs often. I was delusional enough to think that Click Clack Symphony featuring Hans Zimmer would somehow land in the top 10 of the Billboard 200 at some point. I was very wrong. Again, I am kind of delusional though. I also very much agree with the K-pop part of it all. And I also think that that is part of the reason why Cat's Eye had such a big appeal when they first started and why we are hearing more about actual K-pop groups now, like Les Seraphim, Stray Kids, and more. Although even they can fall flat, because I mean, the BTS new album is just so bad.
Baby, you remind me.
Although, yeah, boring, it is not. That is one thing that you can't say about that album. It's not boring. To sum things up, yeah, I definitely agree. We need more ambitious music, more grander music. Because right now, if you want to chart high, you have to have a safe pop/country song. And it should be, you know, easy to play everywhere. We need something that can actually challenge the listener. It's time to challenge that trend. And now the music hot take section is over and we can move on to TV shows and films. Continuing this person's hot takes, not really pop culture, but since I heard you mention Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra in the video about childhood shows, which by the way, you should definitely watch. I love that video. I think this is allowed. People who really dislike the character of Korra and or Katara genuinely scare me. I agree. Hating on Korra is a massive red flag for me, and same with Katara. Korra's show is objectively worse than The Last Airbender, and I feel like typically that's used as an almost like permission slip to hate on the character of Korra. But that show is still great. Like, people treat it like it's shit, like it ruined Avatar, but like, no, it actually does hold up. It has massive flaws, and I will never say that it's perfect. Never. It really, really isn't. It's so far from perfection, but also it's still very cool. I love the story of it, and it introduces some of my favorite characters in the franchise. Korra is one of the most interesting characters of the entire franchise to me. She's impertinent, impulsive, hard to control, emotional, flawed, but I really like her. I think she's even more relatable than Aang. There's so much potential in her character, and I think the writers really do a great job of utilizing those things in her arc. She's not easily likable at first, but she really wins you over by the end of season 1, and at least, you know, that was the case for me. But also people treat her like she's just plain stupid and constantly makes mistakes, which partially is true. Like, she does make mistakes. She's definitely flawed, but like, so did Aang. And he's treated like the saint of this fandom. So what's up with that? And I'd argue Aang was even less mature than Korra was. Aang was just like a very, very young kid. He was barely a teenager. Korra is much older than Aang was when he was going through his adventures. And I'd argue she actually tackles them a little bit better than Aang. Like, most of the series of The Last Airbender, especially season 1, is basically us watching how Aang has to cope with the fact that he is the Avatar and that now he has this big responsibility of saving the world from the Fire Nation. Meanwhile, Korra takes that responsibility head on and is ready to be the Avatar, is ready to fight. She's not afraid, well, for the most part, of tackling danger. And Katara, I cannot even fathom how anyone possibly can dislike her. She's objectively one of the coolest characters in The Last Airbender and possibly in the entire franchise. I also think that her character arc is one of the best in the entire franchise. It's so good. I love her chemistry with everyone. I love seeing her growth. That is incredible. Sometimes hate towards characters like these almost feels like it has like misogynistic undertones to it, if you know what I mean. Not to be, the friend that's too woke, but that's what I see in it. Especially because same criticism isn't reserved for characters like Aang. So some of you just hate seeing a powerful girl kick ass, and it shows. The next hot take. Project Hail Mary was mid as hell. No, girl, why would you say that?
And the madness.
Everyone has their taste and stuff, but there are just some objective truths, and I think Project Hail Mary is the shit, and it is the shit for a reason. This film is the closest thing that we've had to a visual orgasm, in my opinion, since the Spider-Verse films. It is beautiful, it is breathtaking, and that story, man, I cried several times during this film. It's just so beautiful. It's a story about friendship, humanity's perseverance, sacrifices, but also accidentally becoming way too important at your job. And I loved every second of it. I really don't understand how you can call this, honestly, work of art mid. It's visually breathtaking. The story is incredible. The acting is so good. And the singing, I mean, I feel like we all have seen that specific scene in the film. But if you haven't, skip to the timestamp on that is going to be on the screen, right? You have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. That Sign of the Times cover is just everything to me. I have not been able to listen to that song the same since I saw the film. That cover is just, it made me cry so hard. It was such an important scene, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes in just like cinema this year or even in this decade. And also the scene of those like astrophages when they are in infrared. That image is forever engraved in my head. Up next, we have a hot take from Instagram this time. The Summer I Turned Pretty is overrated as fuck. It's such a bad show. Yeah, I agree. And guess what? I'm saying that not having seen it in full, so maybe my opinion on it is not valid. But I feel like I've seen enough to know that this is not a show that I wanna, partake in whatsoever. The Summer I Turned Pretty is kind of the definition of head slop, in my opinion. Like, it looks boring, uninteresting, unadventurous, bland, and also so straight, so painfully heterosexual. It's almost uncomfortable. Like, I tried watching this show. I watched, I think, the first 3 episodes of season 1. I was like, damn, this is boring. You people are really losing your shit over this? Like, I get it, drama, romance, but it just feels like a diet version, a spiceless version of a romance story. I hate love triangles in anything. So there's that. I hate that. The acting, I've seen clips of this show, especially from the most recent season, and I cannot judge the acting just based on that. But holy shit, those clips were very, very bad.
Ugh, sales rack Sally isn't even clever. If you're going to deface someone's locker, at least make it original.
I don't understand what this show has on Taylor Swift, because she gave them the permission to use so many songs, and she even released a song for them. They also had permission to use songs that are unreleased. Like Delicate, Taylor's version, was used in The Summer I Turned Pretty. We still haven't seen it on streaming though. Like, there is a snippet of that song, Taylor's version specifically, in The Summer I Turned Pretty, and we still haven't received it on like any streaming service. It hasn't been released. What do they have on her? How do they get that? Like, what is going on over there? I will say though, it was very funny how when season 3 was airing, they were constantly saying that this was the last season and it would end things. And then they announced a movie. That was kind of unserious, and I kind of thought it was very funny. Now, we have 2 hot takes actually that are both kind of about the same thing. So I'm just going to do them together. The first one is, my take is that none of the Marvel shows are worth watching except for Loki. All of them are a waste of time. And the second one is, I don't understand the hype around Marvel, Avengers, universe, and the movies. So the first take, I'm going to challenge this take by saying that no, there are Marvel shows that are definitely worth watching and that are very good. And more to that, I haven't seen Loki. I have not seen it, haven't watched it. I probably will at some point, but at the time that it was coming out, it just didn't sound very interesting to me, so I just didn't watch it. Meanwhile, if we're talking about actually good shows that Marvel produced that I have seen, WandaVision and Agatha All Along are perfect. WandaVision is an unforgettable watching experience. That show genuinely bends your mind, especially the first time you watch it. It's so cool. The mystery of it, but also how it's shot and how creative it gets. It's just everything. They make so many incredible creative choices in the show that are just incredible. And I would have never thought of that. But also, I would never think that this is a show produced by Marvel, of all things. Like, it just feels so experimental to the point that it's hard to believe that this is coming from the same company that makes, CGI superhero films. And Agatha All Along is just a production for the girls and the gays. It's so much fun. It's a story about fabulous witches going on a journey together. I rewatch it every Halloween, in fact, and I almost made a video about it this year, which I decided to scrap in order to do a different video. But maybe one day I will revisit an idea of, talking about the show, because I really, really love it. But moving to the second take, I understand that. I understand the, not necessarily understanding the hype behind Marvel and specifically the Avengers films. How I relate to that is, I think my taste in Marvel specifically is very, very selective. I'm basically seated for anything that's Scarlet Witch related, but also Agatha related now. Anything from the Spider-Verse and also anything that has the word X-Men in it. That's just kind of it. The rest I can live without. The rest I genuinely don't care about. And I think the lack of interest is understandable. The Marvel franchise has produced so much over the years that it's become very, very difficult to keep up with it. And if you want to get into it from the start, there's so much content for you to consume when we're talking about just films and shows and excluding, comics, books, and anything else, that it's actually weeks or maybe even months worth of content that you would have to watch. There's so many films and shows that Marvel has produced, and a lot of them are aggressively mid or just plain bad. Marvel sometimes does come through and give us something that gags us, like WandaVision or Loki, but most of the time it's just relying too much on the spectacle, the CGI of it all, the big names in the cast, so on and so forth, which makes the projects substanceless. They also feel just very repetitive to me. I truly couldn't care less about Doomsday, I don't care. Although, why is Robert Downey Jr. in it? Why is he playing Doctor Doom? I will probably see that film at some point, but right now, I just don't care really. So in that sense, I definitely agree with you. I don't feel the hype whatsoever. This person says, the Narnia remake will actually do well and is not gonna flop. Courageous take, but I actually kind of agree. First of all, and I think it's an important distinction that we have to make. This is not a remake of Narnia. This is an adaptation of one of the books that was never actually made into a film. That book, of course, being The Magician's Nephew, which I think is the 6th book in the series, but first one chronologically. So it's totally new. It doesn't have to compete with the previous films, which are all great. Maybe aside from the 3rd one, which is just okay, but the first 2 are incredible. And I mean, I have Prince Caspian in my top 4 on Letterboxd, which might be a choice for some of you, but I stand by that. That film is actually really fucking good. But another reason why I believe that this film is gonna actually do very well is because the Greta Gerwig is set to direct it. This woman is responsible for Barbie, Little Women, and Lady Bird. I trust her with this. She's versatile, but also very creative. And I know that if anyone is to do this adaptation correct, it is Greta Gerwig. Although on the other hand, Netflix might ruin some things. They might try some things, but we'll see. Either way, I trust Greta with a loaded gun. And I'm actually very, very excited for this adaptation. I think it's going to be very fun. And I'm honestly ready for a Narnia renaissance. I think it's time to, revisit the books, revisit the films, because it's genuinely one of my favorite childhood stories. And I'm so happy that it's getting this, second wind now in 2026. The next take is as follows. Shows that fall from grace or have shitty creators don't retroactively make past seasons bad. Writers can lose their touch or be revealed to be bad people, and that doesn't change that what they have made before was good. I agree. Retroactively judging pieces of work is not really doing anything. We're just lying to ourselves at that point. There's a difference between the past seasons being actually bad and you having bad associations with them because either the show got ruined and it got bad, or you have bad associations with it because of the problematic behaviors of some of the creators or people behind it. Like, for example, Stranger Things. That I think is a perfect example because obviously the show really fell off after season 1, or maybe after season 2. Some people would argue that it was after season 2. I would argue that it was like after season 1 though, because it was meant to be just a 1-season show and they made 5 seasons of it for no reason, and it really ruined the legacy of the show. But the first season of it is genuinely perfect television, and the Duffer Brothers being kind of problematic and kind of weird, or Noah Schnapp being just like a raging Zionist, doesn't really change the fact that it's still a very good season of television. I think we need to establish that and talk about that more. No, that show was good and we all know it, but we might not look at it the same when we learn about, the creators of it, or when we have, further context. Here I can actually talk about a personal example of a show that kind of had this problem, well, has this problem now, and that is Dead Boy Detectives. That is genuinely one of my favorite shows of all time. I loved that first season, and I still mourn the fact that we were never getting a season 2. It was axed by Netflix after season 1, despite the fact that it was pretty much perfect. The story was so good. It was so fun. The aesthetic of the show was just so sharp and so cool to see. It was a perfect mix of like darkness with humor. I genuinely loved that story. But then I found out about the problematic past, and problematic past is like an understatement, of Neil Gaiman. Now, he technically wasn't even really involved with the show, but he created the characters of Charles and Edwin that we follow in the show. So yeah, his involvement was minimal. This tiny actually. From what I know, he was never actually on set, never wrote nor directed anything from the show. He's listed as an executive producer, which is basically a role that Hollywood oftentimes gives to people that have some importance to the production and are kind of important specifically because they created something for the show, but their involvement was still very minimal. Yet I still haven't been able to look at Dead Boy Detectives the same since I found out that he is a disgusting person. He is an abuser, has had several accusations of assault against women, just in general a very bad person. And unfortunately, he is also responsible for the existence of 2 of my favorite on-screen characters ever. And that really sucks. And again, his involvement in the show was minimal. But yet, I still haven't been able to enjoy the show the same way since I found out about the very fucked up nature of what he did. But yet, I won't sit here and pretend like the show was ever bad. It's not. It's just, it's harder to enjoy it now, knowing the context behind it. I actually wanted to make a video essay about Dead Boy Detectives because I thought that it was, it's one of those shows that really deserved the second season, and the fact that it is not getting it is just a massive robbery. But then when I was researching for the video, I found out about the whole situation around Neil Gaiman, and I was like, okay. So I don't think I'm gonna do that actually. I would feel very uncomfortable doing that. So unfortunately, that video is probably never gonna see the light of day. And the last take that you guys submitted is as follows. Heartstopper is overhated and is actually a really sweet and beautiful show. I mean, exactly. I think it's a very simple case for me. Heartstopper is a show that is directed at a specific subset of people who are typically younger, but also looking for representation. It isn't the most accurate portrayal of the queer experience, and I wouldn't ever claim for it to be one, but also it doesn't have to be. It's a story about acceptance, about friendship, about love. It's meant to make you feel like everything is going to be okay. And I think it accomplishes that goal very well. I mean, yeah, it can be cringe, it can be corny at times, but I think that's part of the charm of this show. And also there are hundreds of films and shows depicting straight couples who are also cringe and corny and who are way worse than this. We just talked about The Summer That I Turned Pretty. Perfect example. Yet Heartstopper is the problem. Yet we get one. Count them one. Kinda corny, kinda cringy, just happy feel-good queer shows, and suddenly it's bad, it's slop, it's not worth watching, it's not good representation. Suddenly it's a problem. And I just don't understand that energy. Heartstopper is a show that I personally view in the same category of shows as something like Ted Lasso, where it's not realistic, but it makes you feel happier once you've watched it. And by the way, I am actually excited for season 4 of Ted Lasso, controversially. I think it's actually gonna be fun. Because I also didn't hate season 3. It was fine. But I actually think that season 4 could be very fun. So I'm definitely gonna be seated and I'm definitely gonna be watching. And those shows I am always ultimately going to cherish. We all have, a comfort show or film. And these are some of mine. So yeah, I never understood the hate that Heartstopper gets. I think it's a very important and necessary show, and its impact on people shouldn't be minimized. It's such a perfect way to teach young people about queer identities, but also mental health. It's so important. I'm happy that we have something like Heartstopper. I'm really, really happy. Having said that, I will also mention I'm very excited for the movie. I will be seated, I will be watching, and I'm actually thinking about doing a video essay about Heartstopper around the time that the movie comes out, just to talk about, you know, the impact of it and the quality of it. I think that'd be very fun. I think that'd be a very like fun, feel-good video. So honestly, I'm very down for that. So, you know, that might happen at some point. Now we have reached the end of your hot takes, but I'm gonna give you one of mine. It's gonna be very quick this time because I couldn't really think of anything, but my hot take is that the Elizabeth Taylor music video actually wasn't that bad. Now let me explain. Basically, it's a collage, a montage of different moments from Elizabeth Taylor's career, from her films and stuff like that. I actually think that it's a very great way to honor the legacy of Elizabeth Taylor. It shows people movies that they've probably never seen that they might now be curious to watch. They might want to learn more about the career of Elizabeth Taylor. And most importantly, I think all of the proceeds are going to the Elizabeth Taylor Foundation, which, if I'm not mistaken, is directly supporting like the research against AIDS and stuff like that. So I think it's a very important cause, and I think it's a great way of honoring a legacy of a person that Taylor has clearly been very inspired by throughout her career. And if you were disappointed by that music video, just go and watch Wildest Dreams. That's basically the Elizabeth Taylor music video 2.0. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you made it till the end, definitely let me know what you thought of the video, and stay tuned because I have so much content coming in May that I'm very, very excited. And the next time I'm going to be doing one of those videos like pop culture hot takes, I'll definitely be writing about that in my YouTube post or on my Twitter. So watch out for that whenever that comes. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very, very soon. Actually, sooner than you might think. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.